Hey there, guys. This is Ishak from Shaqtech here, bringing you another podcast. And today we got some new juicy topics. We got the Mac versus PC debate. And also, if we have some time, we're going to have a little discussion on what is the best computer configuration for you students out there. And today we have some various platform users on here, from Mac OS to Windows users. Today I'll introduce you to Mr. Jesse, Keenan, and Kyle. Welcome to the podcast today. So let's start things off here. Jesse, what is your standpoint on the Mac versus PC debate?
Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Mac.
Okay.
That's it.
Nah,
That's it.
Straight to the point there.
Nah.
Why are you so into Mac over Windows then?
So I think from my perspective, most of the stuff I do is for uni,
Right.
engineering,
Yeah.
and I think if you've had time using Windows and using like a Unix-based system,
Yeah.
I guess you find that it's a lot easier using Unix to do a lot of stuff. Like a lot of stuff is already like Node when you're using like any web-based stuff, especially.
Yeah.
It's just a lot easier to get set up.
Right. So you're like saying from like
on
a programmer's perspective, right?
Yeah, from a programmer's perspective, like Unix makes things a lot easier. And working on a Windows system over this summer was pretty painful. I also think that like keyboard, trackpad, like screen are also very nice for like just general use.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So for me, like when people ask me like why do I prefer Mac over Windows, that's usually it. But like I wouldn't go out. Like the only reason I have a Windows PC is purely for games.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like, if you're using a PC for games, like there's really no point in getting a Mac.
Yeah.
Right. So I think if I was to choose one, I'd probably go for Windows because I can still deal with it.
Okay.
If it was just a general computer, I think if I had to have a laptop and I could only have a laptop, I would definitely choose a Mac.
Right.
I like the reliability of it.
So you would
like,
never
I mean-
go for like a desktop Mac kind of thing, like a iMac
Nah.
or a desktop
No,
Mac Pro?
I think like they are pretty expensive for what they are,
Yeah,
and you can also go for Hackintoshes now. Like Hackintoshes are pretty reliable.
Yeah.
And easy to set up. So I think I'd rather just go for something like that.
Right.
But I think from like a MacBook perspective, it's the reliability. I've had mine since like early 2014.
Yeah.
And it still does some tasks even faster than my PC, and it's a decent PC.
Oh, so you're saying
yeah.
it's like it's outrun most of your Windows stuff as well?
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't say. Yeah, I mean like in terms of my laptops, yeah, like I had a few Windows laptops before the MacBook that I have.
Right.
And like it's lasted longer than both of those put together.
Okay. Yeah,
So yeah, I guess in summary, it's like the operating system. I like that the operating system is very consistent.
Okay.
Like from a design perspective, like if you go on Windows, there's like 2 different windows for like uninstalling stuff, and they have different like design to them, and it's like why does there need to be 2?
Just have the one thing.
Yeah, it's like instead of just updating everything at once, they're trying to do it at the same time without breaking what was already there. So like I think that's very confusing. I think like probably the other thing that I really like about macOS is Spotlight. Like Spotlight is so good for like
What is Spotlight there for people that don't know what it is?
Yeah, I have no clue.
Basically it's just like it's a search like a global search of the system, but it's really good. Like if you go on Windows, you could like for example Origin. If I search Origin, for some reason it just doesn't come up, or it will come up really far down the list. But
oh right, so it actually like digs down. It actually finds the thing.
it's like it knows what you want the most.
Okay.
Rather than just like if like you could search like I don't know like Steam, or like you could search like a file that you're looking for, and it will just know that this is the file. Even if there's other things named similar to it, it will know that this is the file that you were looking for.
Right.
So yes. Okay. No, I think that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like it's smart, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Well,
So yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I guess that's my
Yeah.
what I think.
Okay. Well, Keenan, so
Yeah.
you've used Windows, I guess, most of your life, right?
Literally, well, that's the only operating system and I've used.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think the pricing of the MacBook Pros and Macs are fair?
If you can afford it, sure. I think they're really overpriced though for the
Can I-
type of hardware you're getting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesse, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I was going to inject. So that's a point that you hear a lot of people say. It's like
Yeah.
it's way too expensive for what you're getting.
Yeah.
But like for me, I would be more than happy to spend the money. I think my MacBook was like 2,700. I'll be more than happy to spend that money because it's something
Because
that
it's like
lasts me. So,
reliable.
yeah, it's lasted me
Yeah.
so long. Like if
Yeah.
you put the price of the Windows laptops I had before that would cost more than the 2,700 I spent on the laptop. So
Yeah,
it's already paid itself off.
Yeah. Like, yeah, for me, like 1 year, I went through 3 Windows laptops.
Yeah.
Um,
What?
yeah, they just literally
Okay, I
all
think you
just.
just got Russian luck, eh?
I mean, like, so
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad luck.
I mean, they were all like supposedly high-end Windows laptops as well, like the gaming end of Windows.
Oh,
laptops.
okay, that's your first problem.
Yeah, but like, because they were replacements for my desktop because I couldn't have a desktop at that time,
I see.
and I didn't do anything that crazy. Like the most that I would do on that would be maybe some 3D rendering, which is a bit heavy, but like nothing too crazy. And they literally
Yeah,
just killed all 3 of them. And then with my Mac, since I've got my Mac, I think I've had that for about 4 years now. 4
Yeah.
years now, and I've done rendering with it. I've edited all these videos on that, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
never let me down. It's never like it's not even crashed or anything like that.
I think also a lot of people look purely on what hardware it has without
Mhm.
realizing like how
Like this.
optimized. Because
Yeah.
Apple has so much control over the hardware and the software
Right.
instead of like Windows, who has to cater for all this hardware.
Mhm.
Like things are just a lot more optimized.
Yeah.
And like like if you turn off a MacBook and turn it back on again after you've had it for 4 years, it turns on in like 10 seconds,
Yeah, yeah,
which is faster than my Windows PC.
yeah.
Yeah. You'll like massively decline after like 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one of the things, like the big things why Apple stuff is optimized is since they have such a limited set of products out there, they can like create the software exactly for what hardware is in each PC. Unlike Windows, where there's such a variety of components and stuff for the OS to actually work as seen originally, like for it to work as perfectly as it was made. And yeah, Kyle, you're a Windows user, aren't you?
Yeah, man.
What's your thoughts on our Macs?
Well, actually, I think a good point from Carl is that he's just started using a MacBook.
That is true. That's
So
true.
Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts so far on that?
yeah,
Mac
what are your
you're
thoughts on just switching or just starting to use a MacBook?
Well, I think the Mac that I'm using is 8 years old.
using? Right.
Is that right?
We don't
What?
know what version, what model you got. I know it's
Wait.
a Mac Air, but I don't know which Mac Air it is.
Oh, it's a MacBook Air.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's like a
Oh.
2013 model.
Oh,
Right.
jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it has the Force Touch trackpad or the glass thing, right? Not the olden trackpad like we.
Nah, yeah, I think it's like a 2013, 2014 MacBook. Yeah.
Okay. And it's faster than my Windows laptop that's 2 years old, 3 years old,
Oh. Oh, that's pretty neat then.
and has still a longer battery life. Like it'll last for like ages, like days.
I think that's like one of the biggest selling points of the MacBook as well. Its battery is pretty, like, you can't really compare it to anything else just because it's like it just shines above everything.
I remember Carl saying
Maybe
one of the
it's
things he
different.
really liked about it was the trackpad,
Oh yeah, that
which I
makes
definitely
sense.
like. The trackpads on it, like you
Yeah, don't
realize
use the mouse on
crazy.
the Mac. Don't use the mouse on the Mac.
You don't even need it.
Yeah.
Don't have any
Well, so
points.
then, Carl, would you then consider ever switching to a Mac?
Probably not though, because I really like playing games,
Right.
and I'm finding that my Windows gaming computer is like, for the cost and just how it's just so much faster to use.
But what about for, like if you needed a
Like
laptop for
yeah, for a
university?
Well, if I could buy a second-hand old Mac, then sure, I'd go for it. But I wouldn't spend like this charging $4,000 for like the newest Macs. That's a bit too much for me.
That's assuming you're buying the top
Yeah.
end model, right? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can get
Yeah.
them for about. I think I saw one for like 2,900.
Yeah, so like the
Yeah.
base MacBook Pro 13-inch 128GB storage is at $2,199 off the Apple Store.
What was that? 2,100.
Yeah,
Yeah, well-
2,199.
So 2.
Oh, that's actually not bad.
Yeah,
I think if you got like one step up in terms of storage,
yeah,
Like to double the storage. That's
Yeah.
256.
$256.
yeah. 256
Yeah.
is going at 2,550.
500. Yeah.
Which is that's ridiculous. Like,
That for
how much?
just
That's $400 for 128 gigs. Like,
Yeah.
what the
is that,
Come on,
it's
man.
like 300.
I mean, the way
350.
they like advertise it, flash storage, you know.
Mm.
It's fast.
Yeah, it is fun. Like,
Mm.
I haven't had issue with
But I don't-
like
Like,
startups, boot
I feel
camps
that's
and-
ridiculous for like just 128 gigs.
Yeah,
Yeah, $400 for 128 gigs. That's
Hell no.
and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure like now the new MacBook Pros, you can't actually manually go and change that.
Wait,
Afterwards.
sorry.
They've
Like
they're-
you-
Oh, you've been upgraded
locked
the
it down.
storage.
yeah, they've like soldered it
Oh,
down or something, so you can't
okay.
actually do it without damaging your laptop.
Okay, so that's pretty anti-consumer.
'Cause,
Like
back
to
in-
argue?
Yeah, because like back in the day, you could actually swap
Mm,
that out or
upgrade.
add another. There was like an empty compartment as well for another storage system,
Mm.
yeah.
but they've got rid of that.
That is that's pretty stupid. I do like the idea of like having some upgradability to a laptop.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Like even obviously I don't expect to change the CPU or shit, but like just
But like,
RAM
I
and like
think
storage.
yeah, RAM is also soldered down as well. So
Yeah.
I think you can
Yeah.
change the RAM.
I feel like that's just because they want to keep the Macs just really portable and slim, right?
yeah, they're going crazy on this. Like that, yeah.
Because you're packing all this like power into such a small device. Mm.
I mean,
I think they're going too slim now.
yeah,
Mm.
They're going
feel
to the
like-
point where it's hurting the product.
Like, as in terms like making it fragile, or like
well,
it's like unusable
For
because
one-
it's so slim.
for one, is like they changed the keyboard from
Yeah,
keyboard-
The
it's
keyboard.
I
yeah.
butterfly keys now. Jesse, what are your
Okay.
thoughts on the butterfly keys, man?
Yeah, it's shit.
Whoa.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna
Basic-
sit that.
basically the whole point of the butterfly switch was to slim down the laptop, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And I mean, like, if you've looked at any news on it, it's just how shit they are. They break easily. They have to keep taking them back to the store and getting them replaced.
So many issues of just like keys just getting stuck down, and like so my
Yeah.
sister has one at home, and I was just playing around with it, and it just it actually feels really weird to press. Like there's not much key clearance. What do you call it when you
Oh,
push
travel.
it down? Yeah, key
There's not a lot of travel. Yeah.
compared to the previous one. Like I like to have a little bit of that feel. Like this one is like non-existent.
So I have to like look up what these were. It's like, wow, that's really slim.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
real slim.
It's like putting a sheet of paper over.
And,
Yeah.
like the
So,
keys like get stuck.
Ah,
they're also really like the older ones are very loud. Like there's some people at uni who have them, and when they're typing on it, it's very loud. Like
you just hear them going off like,
yeah,
yeah,
pretty much. It's like they have a bloody mechanical keyboard, dude.
But it's a Mac, yeah. Hmm.
But yeah,
But
But-
for me, I like that old keyboard a lot.
yeah.
Especially
The
for-
old MacBook keyboards are very nice. Like they're not mechanical keyboard, obviously, but
It's a nice
it's a good
laptop
keyboard for a laptop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the other
I
day,
feel
I
like-
was writing a report, and I had my mechanical keyboard plugged into my Mac,
Hmm.
and like it was just so weird to type on that. Like in the end, I just had to unplug it and use the laptop keyboard, which felt much more nice. And I had a higher word count as well. So, by
Is that
using-
because you're too used to the Mac keyboard because you probably just use it every day, or
I mean, I don't have anything against mechanical keyboards. It's just that
It's
for
just what you
like,
used to.
report writing, it's so nice to use that keyboard. But like if I'm gaming, I wouldn't use a MacBook.
Oh,
I think when it comes to, I guess going off topic, when it comes to MacBook keyboards, it's a lot of it is trying to find this like the switches and the keycaps and all that stuff that you actually like.
Yeah.
Like mechanical keyboards aren't just as simple as I'm gonna buy a mechanical
Yeah.
keyboard and I'm instantly gonna like. You actually,
It's very.
you gotta do your
If you want-
research.
Yeah, if
Yes.
you want to find a keyboard that you're actually really happy with, then you have to do the research.
Yeah.
Well, then another thing is then if there was a Windows debate against this, then what would be like the Windows equivalent of a MacBook Pro? Like, what would you put it in that range as that?
Razor
something that
blade.
What can fight against it?
Razor blade.
I think there's a lot of Windows laptops. Like Windows is catching up because
Yeah.
Mac isn't doing anything, right?
What's it? The Surface Book?
Yeah, there's like Surface Book.
A lot of people really like the Surface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a different now variation. There's actually like a Surface laptop thing. Like it's not like
Yeah.
a tablet.
Yeah.
You could pull out.
Yeah. Like the actual laptop.
And I mean, those things aren't cheap. Those things are over $2,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these things are directly competing against MacBooks.
Yeah, like they've realized that they can sell the stuff for pretty high prices.
I mean, one thing I really don't like about the Windows laptops and the Microsoft OS is the Windows OS is the updates, the operating system updates.
Oh yeah,
Or
yeah.
whatever
No
system
one
update.
likes Windows updates.
Yeah.
Like, I'm recording this right now on a Windows computer, and the amount of times where you're forced to restart the computer for an
Yeah.
update.
Dude, I was so upset. You're in like a clutch moment in a
Yeah.
game, and then all of a sudden you just get a shitty notification. It's like,
And
come
you're
on.
It's like,
forced to
yeah.
do it as well. You're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
While you're doing assignment, your save corrupts.
Yep.
I feel like that's a different issue, but yeah.
That's
I don't know. Eh?
Has that happened? Is that from personal experience, Carl?
Yeah, man.
That's quite unfortunate, bro.
She'll lose the steak cooking videos.
Alright. So we got a clear standpoint here then. So I'm gonna
Hmm.
round off then I guess the Mac versus Windows debate here. So like I know Jesse, you're strongly on the Mac side, right? I'd say that.
It's really hard to say.
For laptops, let's say.
For laptops, yeah, I'd
You
say
would
MacBook.
advocate, so you would advocate for like a person getting a MacBook, like for like in general use, if they were to just pick a
Yeah.
laptop.
Like not for
Meh.
Okay. Yeah.
If there was no gaming involved, yeah. Like if the person
Okay.
was just like, I do not want to
But,
play,
like-
I do not play games, yeah.
Okay, so for like productivity, all that type of tasks.
Yeah, because the thing is that if you have a Windows, like, you can still do all that stuff, right? And you can play
Yeah.
games if the computer's decent enough. But if you have a MacBook, the gaming side of it hurts a lot.
I mean you can't game on a
You
Mac.
can, but like
But,
you're
like-
you know.
There's less like optimization and like
It is
all
it
that
is
type of
coming-
stuff.
Like, it is becoming more of a genre though. Like more people are starting to develop more for
Yeah.
Mac as well.
Mac gaming. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like in the future that might be a thing. Like
Mm.
it might become better.
Well, we're gonna see ray tracing graphics cards into MacBooks now.
Hell yeah.
Well, they'll
Couple
will
of
come.
years.
They'll come.
No, you can. I mean, you probably can, right, with those like add-on things.
Oh yeah, the external GPUs, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hmm.
So
you
then
can
what
probably
about you? Okay.
Ray
um,
tracing.
Yeah.
Hmm?
How about you, Kian? So where would you then stand on the fence of Mac versus PC debate? Where would you stand on that?
For me, if you were to get something for productivity, like in my case, since I'm a commerce student, you don't really need such like intense hardware.
Right.
So I would only need for them that you could get like a cheap, like either cheap MacBook or maybe like a Windows laptop.
Okay.
Like since all you do is like type in Word.
Yeah, that is fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm not too familiar with like rendering and stuff, but it seems like MacBook seems to be a lot better just because you're like out and about so often. You kind of need that power.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think I would. I don't know. I'm pretty on the fence.
Yeah, I feel like the rendering
but a
thing
bit
is a
more.
misconception with a
Hmm.
lot of people.
Yeah.
I feel.
I guess like you could say with both. It would
If you're
work
really
either way.
into it, I would say that.
you could build a really powerful Windows computer.
Yeah.
If you're serious about it, I think Windows is still the way to
Oh,
go.
Yeah.
I mean, like if in case like if you're an architecture student and you were doing renderings, you're like going in between campuses. You can't really
Yeah.
take your Windows
True,
PC
yeah.
around. Yeah, you'll just take your MacBook.
Yeah.
For instance.
But that's one thing I hate is you at that point when you're doing hardcore rendering, you kind of want to get a GPU.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
And,
definitely.
that's a major step in the MacBook range, like the price point wise. Like even the base 15-inch, you don't get it. You get it. Those things start at 4,000 NZ dollars is what the base one starts at. The 256
Wait, is that for the
gigabyte.
15-inch MacBooks?
Yep, 15-inch
Yeah.
MacBook. So I
Yeah.
feel like at that point, if you're looking for that much power, you might get more bang for your buck in a Windows. Even a Windows laptop, you might get a bit more bang for buck for that point.
I think at that price point you get a cheaper MacBook and you get
I mean, if you're purely looking for like rendering
Well, it's not-
power.
go for yeah. Oh yeah. But that's if you're doing those like massive renders, I suppose. But yeah, for like a student, yeah. I think MacBook desktop computer, yeah, that'll be my setup.
Kyle, what is your standing point on the Mac versus PC debate?
Well, in terms of laptops, if you're just doing productivity, then just rather get a Mac.
Right.
Simply because of how, like as Jesse said, it just lasts long. It's reliable, and it's also really fast that you can just close it and open it, and it'll respond to you straight away instead of waiting for that Windows response time.
Oh yeah.
But in saying that, referencing this butterfly keyboard argument and how the newer Macs have been breaking down, unless you're rich, you have the budget to keep replacing it, you're just better off getting an older MacBook for
I
productivity.
mean, they replace it for free.
Yeah.
The
Well,
problem
you
is
don't
that
need the
like,
Apple Care, right?
Good old
Nah.
Apple support.
they do allow specific problems if they
I see.
like they will allow authorized Mac repairers to fix it for free.
You know,
But-
if it's your Apple Repair Care down in this town.
Yeah, I mean the problem is that your laptop's gone for a week, and if you're someone who
That's
needs
it.
that for university or work or something,
Exactly.
you can't really just
Yeah.
give up your laptop for a week, right?
But it's only really the keyboard that is actually the issue, right? The actual Mac itself.
Yeah, the Mac
performs
itself is fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that like i9 problem where they would overheat or whatever, like the throttle real easy.
They definitely fixed that by now, right?
Yeah, it was a software problem.
Ah, okay.
Like the throttling was way too aggressive. I can't remember.
Okay,
Oh,
I feel like
Actually,
Okay, go ahead.
for my case, I feel like I would benefit more from a Surface because I do a lot of like note taking.
Right.
So I mean, like writing down the notes and stuff. So I think a touchscreen type of thing would work better.
Okay. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
good. This is a good transition into the next topic, which is what would we think is like the best configuration in terms of computer or laptop for a university student. One thing I noticed when I go to the commerce park, and correct me if I'm wrong, I had some of the management classes. I noticed
Oh,
literally
everyone.
everyone has a Mac.
you are not wrong at all.
Everyone has a Mac.
if everyone has the silver Mac or like at least the silver laptop that looks like a Mac.
Yeah, it's like the real roast pork or nothing kind of scenario.
Oh, okay. I love that. I love that.
What was the scenario again?
It's a real roast pork or nothing scenario.
Okay. We're going way off topic here then. I don't get this analogy.
I mean, I think the reason everyone has Mac, or it seems that everyone has MacBooks, is one because Apple was just like the cool thing to have, right? Like they have such good branding and marketing that people will just spend the money on it. And I think the other thing is that a lot of companies follow their design.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you
Yeah, it's clean.
like Xiaomi especially copies all basically they have the same thing. Like
And I mean,
it's like they pull MacBooks off the line and just slap their branding on it.
Yeah, like, here you
Operating
go.
system, and this is our laptop.
Wait, so it's like they pull it from the factory, they slap Xiaomi on it, and they send it off. They're like, "This is our product."
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Like I don't know if you've seen their laptops, but they look exactly like MacBooks.
I guess we gotta pull it our friend Basim and ask for some advice.
Yeah, I mean that goes for like everything that Apple does. Like Apple puts a notch. Every other smartphone has a notch in it now. Apple puts some stupid stuff on. Like they remove the headphone jack.
Yeah.
People were like, okay,
Everyone.
yeah.
I feel like
I assume it's-
Yeah.
I feel like
I assume it's more like.
Oh my god. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I completely forgot what I was gonna say.
Okay, Shaq, go.
Yeah. Well, I was like feeling like I feel like Apple has actually slowed down in that innovation side though. Like after introducing a notch into the new iPhones and maybe the touch bar into the Macs, after that it just kind of seems like they don't have that many ideas.
I
It
feel like
seems
I
they're
can agree with you on
iterating the
that.
same thing.
But I assume that the iPhone is because they change the design like every 2 years, right? Like they have the iPhone X and then they do like a small iterative jump for the XS and XR and stuff like that. And then the
they
next
make
year
something new?
they'll do something new.
Oh.
That's how they
wait.
do it, right?
It's supposed to
That's
change
their cycle.
this year. The major.
Well,
change
this year,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like there have been leaks and stuff, and right now it literally looks like the same thing.
Wait,
Mm.
really?
With like an added lens, maybe another camera on there.
So like a dual lens iPhone XS.
It's already dual lens.
What?
It'll be a
Sorry.
triple,
Triple?
I think
So they're going like the Huawei route?
Yeah, but they won't. They still
Okay.
have the notch, and it still looks the same and everything. So
Oh, okay.
Interesting
I'm not
to
sure if
see
I can
what
get on
It's what
board with
phones
that.
are now, dude. It's just
yeah,
they prove that they're better than the other one by slapping more cameras onto it.
Well, that's all people want to pay for, really. It's just their photos
yeah.
on a small device, yeah.
Anyways, back to the topic of what is the best computer or
Other
laptop
than-
configuration for students. I
That's a
noticed
fat
as well,
tangent.
talking about the commerce side, like how I saw all these
Mhm.
Mac computers, and then when we come back to the software engineering side and the comp sci area,
Mhm.
I noticed that there's more of a variety of computers there. So I guess I think there's, in terms of students, there's more Windows computers to Macs.
What?
I reckon.
Overall?
Yeah, I reckon.
Like, if you were looking at the whole university.
For comp sci and software engineering students.
Okay.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean,
Well,
I
can't-
see
I
all
can't
the,
take.
all the software engineering, most of the software engineering comp sci lecturers have a Mac.
You reckon they just
Students.
supplied those? Or,
Maybe.
like, could
But I
be a
guess
work
they have a
laptop?
choice, right? For OS. I would assume they'd have a choice. Because some people do have Windows laptops.
Hmm.
But in terms of students, I do like generally I don't see that many people with Macs. I don't know, Jesse, if you want to elaborate on that one.
I guess it's I don't know. I guess I noticed that there's a lot of Macs.
Right.
Like if you take for example one of the group projects we had last year, we were what, 6 people on the team,
Yeah.
and half of the people had Windows, half had Mac,
Right.
and that's within 6 people. And then there's, I don't know. I think I see a lot of Macs.
Okay.
I take notice of them because they stand out.
Yeah.
I catch your devices, you know?
Yeah. But would you recommend? I guess it would also depend on what kind of studies the student is doing. As to
Nah.
what laptop they have.
I think it depends on how much money they want to spend. Because
That's true.
if you go into computer science, like you don't need a good laptop for it.
Yeah, you don't need even a MacBook. I feel like is overkill.
Yeah, if you're going to university, and you're doing software engineering, don't even think that you need a great laptop because you don't.
But you don't even need, like, no offense, Keenan, but you don't need one for commerce like that high end.
No, you definitely don't.
Yeah. you
Like,
don't-
I brought that up. I was like, you only need like a Chromebook.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, that's a bit too like
Okay.
far, but like, you get my point idea. You only need like a small tablet, like ideally.
Yeah. I don't recommend like Chromebooks. Like when they first came out, it sounded like a really cool idea and whatnot. But I really don't. I feel like once you buy a Chromebook, you're kind of shooting your foot in the leg and restricting.
Shooting
lot of
Shooting your
leg.
foot in the leg, shooting yourself in the foot,
Shooting your leg.
shooting yourself in the foot.
Shooting yourself in the foot. Sorry. And you're like restricting yourself from like a lot of stuff. Like, even if it is just for browsing the web and Word, you may someday want to add something else, and you just can't do it on a Chromebook.
I suppose, but you're only paying like a couple $100 for that.
Yeah, I guess. But you can
But,
get a couple $100,
else-
you can get a Windows laptop as well.
Oh, I suppose.
Think how much nanos you can buy with that.
God.
Okay, and then
Oh.
for like a commerce student, then would you recommend like an iPad?
Yeah, actually. No, yeah, I would actually recommend them an iPad. iPad works really well.
Yeah, especially
Um,
now with like the pencil compatibility in most of the range.
Yeah, like a
Just write
stylus.
notes. Yeah.
Like for me, since I'm doing like finance,
Yeah.
you're writing equations, you're adding notes to lecture slides. It's really helpful having that like stylus aspect.
But how well
without
does that
having
work for
to-
assignments? Like doing
Assignments?
essays and stuff.
Oh, doing essays.
Mm.
Well, for me, since I have a computer at home, I can just do it on that. If you have a laptop, I guess you can do it on that.
I mean, you could attach a keyboard
but like
to an
you-
iPad.
Yeah,
Well,
but
like
how
if you
does
have an
it
iPad, yeah, I think that would be a problem with an iPad, just because you would be typing on such a small device.
Like it's fine to just take notes on it, but if
Yeah.
you were buying one device and you can only afford one device, I don't know how good an iPad is for that. Like if you want something that you can take notes on, like a touchscreen, then I think a Surface will probably be a
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
choice for it because it's actually a computer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like-
the iPad is the OS is being upgraded to support now like desktop applications. So
Yeah.
like how Photoshop is now the desktop version on iPad.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's pretty
okay.
cool.
So they're
Um,
trying to make all new apps coming onto their desktop versions.
Yeah, because I think that's a limitation, right? Like it's iOS, and iOS isn't made for
Yeah.
desktop use,
Obvious.
which is kind of what you need for like doing assignments, essays, and stuff.
Mm-hmm. If the Surface was cheaper, I would advocate it for a lot more.
Right.
I just don't know what the budgets of like a general commerce student is, but
Hmm.
it seems to be pretty high since everyone has a Mac. So
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
I think I would advocate for the Surface Pro, whatever.
What would you then advocate for someone whose budget was below $1,000?
Oh, 1K.
How much of those Surface goes?
Surface Go then. Yeah, easy. Those things are under okay. They're like I think
They're like
I don't remember how many gigs it was.
$700 for a 64 GB version.
Yeah. I think double that is like $900.
Like 128 gig is 1,500 from the Microsoft Store. So you
Oh,
might get a good deal on it somewhere.
okay, maybe I was
Oh
remembering.
yeah, no, you can get it for 948.
I mean, I don't actually know much about laptops, so
It's actually because that's more like an iPad at that point, and you are typing on a really small device.
Yeah, but I mean,
I suppose you could get like a cheap laptop, like a cheap Windows laptop. But
I mean,
yeah.
I don't see the like you can go home and plug this into a monitor and
Yeah,
use it as a
yeah.
fully fledged computer. But you can also do that with an iPad, I reckon, as well. Like, what are you actually missing if you're just going to be doing report writing and stuff for your assignments? What are you missing in an iPad?
good. I don't know. I've never actually used the new iPad, but
Like you
I've-
have an iPad, right, Jesse?
yeah, but I don't have the new one.
No, like in general, like iPad.
Oh, just like a general iPad.
Yeah.
well, like some software.
Because they
Like the
they haven't changed
the
yet.
multitasking aspect
Right.
is not
Oh.
great.
Oh yeah.
So, like, for example, like we've had to do an essay pretty recently, and it's very nice to be able to have two different windows. I think you can do it on iPad. It's just not as nice as doing it on
Like a laptop.
a laptop. Yeah,
I get you.
Yeah.
I think that will be the main thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. So you're thinking like the multitasking part would be the tough.
Yeah,
Mm.
No.
like I'm thinking of what actually makes a desktop computer or a laptop actually good for doing
Right.
essays.
Yeah. The multitasking. You like
Yeah.
tab out, look at your sources.
Like you couldn't if you're doing any like software stuff, you
Mm.
can't get an iPad
Yeah.
at this point.
Well. Well. Okay. There's a person in my software engineering course who purely uses his iPad, and he actually was for one of the courses he specifically programs while on the iPad as well. And it's pretty cool. So when he's working, I don't know, I haven't seen exactly how he does the multitasking thing. When he goes to the lab, he just plugs it in. He has some dongle. He plugs it into the lab screens, and he uses it literally like a laptop off an iPad, and he programs and does everything on it as well. So maybe
Huh.
it's something that's growing as well that maybe we can do in the future. That because iPad looks like they are trying to get into more of the desktop area. So yeah, that might be a thing.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite interesting.
I mean, I only ever use my iPad for note taking.
Mm.
It's
mean-
purely just a media device. Other than that,
Yeah.
It's a big YouTube device.
Hmm.
Then do you reckon for a lot of the students, like let's say for commerce students, you reckon building a desktop PC is worth it?
Nah.
No.
I think if you are building a desktop PC, then you're probably wanting it for games or like 3D work of some sort.
Mm.
Like you don't need a desktop PC to do programming or any like university courses, right?
Yeah.
It'll just be more like a literally for gaming.
Yeah, it's for gaming, or if you have like a hobby in 3D stuff.
Yeah.
What if you're someone who wants to game, but you can only have either desktop or a laptop? What would you recommend for someone?
A gaming laptop.
I don't know about.
Yeah.
Just buy a razor blade, guys.
Yeah,
It's
man.
the solution.
How much are razor blades going on at the moment? Those things are.
They're like fuck,
Those things are
3,
going
4
for
grand.
like,
I don't know.
2.5K for the.
I don't
30-inch
know.
250
If you want
60.
something that works, it's probably like 3 to 4K.
Yeah, 3 to 4. I mean, something that doesn't break the bank. Like, what would you recommend for someone that wants to game?
To game. Oh god.
I mean, it depends on
I
how
don't
big
know.
the bank is, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or-
but like, I don't
Or
know
like
if I would
1.5.
recommend. Like, I
What?
still don't know if I would recommend a gaming laptop.
If you want to do light gaming, on like what, a 1.5K budget?
Yeah.
Like I
Just
don't
play
know.
games on
what
your
I'd
phone.
Yeah, just play games on your phone. I don't
You
know.
can play
what-
RuneScape on your phone.
I
Yeah.
play RuneScape on most devices. Like, we can have a cheap ass computer for that. I don't know that because I feel like on the lower end, the gaming laptops you're getting are quite chunky and bulky as well.
Yeah, like
Um,
Kyle's laptop.
Yeah, Carl, what was your? Because you used to carry around your laptop to uni. What was that like?
You're like curling it and stuff.
Oh, it was a good weight training workout, you know?
You're like training
I feel
chest.
like Goku now.
We would move. We would have to move around the lecture theater to find a port so that he could charge it in, because it would last like 10 minutes before it was dead.
I feel
That is true.
And that's it feels bad, man, dude. That laptop is not. It's not a good laptop. I'm sorry.
I actually have the exact same laptop as Carl. And
It's
I
just
don't,
an
I don't
unlucky
have the same
purchase.
symptoms.
It's because Carl doesn't look after his laptop.
What do you mean? I do.
What do you mean? Your screen.
You're,
busted, you
you're
didn't
suffocating
fix
with the plastic, man.
It still has all the covers on it.
it.
Would you recommend anyone an Alienware system?
Hell
in
no.
2019?
I don't know anything
Yeah.
about Alienware.
Probably not.
Because I've seen, one of our lecturers actually has an Alienware laptop, but those things just look so thick to carry. Like for
Oh,
a
you see-
university student.
Oh yeah.
See all those cool international students with Alienware laptops and backpacks. I'm like, how do you get by? I don't know.
You just
I-
don't move.
You literally set up your own
No, they-
station.
Yeah.
They literally set up battle stations. If you go to our university during like exam times, you might catch someone just set up on a table with their Alienware laptop.
Yeah, they have like league tournaments, man.
Yeah, I set up
What the hell?
their battle station in the blue zone studying.
They bring
Yeah.
Oh. Then what do you guys think of the setup with a laptop, a cheaper laptop, and a desktop? You reckon that would be a good
Yeah.
option?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that option.
Yeah.
Good option.
But like, if you're someone who is studying and you want to play games as well, then I think that is the best option. And you don't have to go overkill with a PC. Like,
No.
yeah,
You can spend like 1.5 maybe.
you don't need to
can
go get like a 2080 and
Yeah.
you know,
No one needs a 2080.
no one needs a
Probably
2080
not.
unless you want
Okay.
that ray tracing.
What
Mm,
games are even
and my-
using that?
Battlefield 5.
Yeah,
I mean, like, yeah, for like 1500, you can build like a really decent desktop that can handle pretty much everything that you could throw at it.
yeah.
And like medium.
Like, even if you're not a gamer, even if you're video editing, photo editing, rendering, a
I feel like
desktop
even
like that. price range.
1500's a little much, isn't
And
it?
if you can't afford the PC, just get a cheap one and play RuneScape,
Just use your phone.
or just use your phone. Yeah.
I mean, what about using? So I've started seeing people. Like one of my friends, Wasim. Shout out to Wasim.
Shout out
uses-
Wasim.
Yeah, uses
Brown boys.
He uses his phone during lectures to take notes. What do you guys think of
What?
using your phone as an alternative to like a laptop at university and then going?
Oh,
home to
No,
Oh, dude.
that sounds
when
like the worst thing ever.
Or it's an emergency backup. It's happened to me too many times that I liked. My laptop doesn't even last long enough for some
Oh,
situations.
oh.
You got that full
The battery life.
study period. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but like I've seen like it's not just him. I've seen a lot of people who start using their mobile because mobile devices as well getting bigger, the screen real estate, and like hey,
Screen real estate. I like that.
what?
It's free
That's
real estate.
It's free real estate.
That's a
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, like
Hmm.
he uses it, and he seems like it's fine for him, like one-handed, just taking notes.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, if you can type, I can't type on like touchscreen keyboards. I'm so bad at it.
Uh,
Like, I don't know if you've seen my messages sometimes on Facebook.
Typo Central.
Yeah, because you'll see me just putting like 10 different messages of me correcting myself.
You're like,
So
oh,
I
this
just,
is not
I
working.
just fat finger everything. Yeah.
Then from this discussion though, it's like, where would a Mac then fit? What user would then need a Mac? Like, is there anyone that actually needs a Mac? Like, it's not like a
No, like,
No one,
software
no one
engineer?
needs
No,
a Mac.
no one needs a Mac. You just want a Mac
So then
Like-
why should you spend that like premium price to buy a Mac?
because you have
I
the
mean-
money for it.
If you have the money, like I think a lot of people get them just because they think that is what they need.
Right.
Mm.
Because that's what
Oh,
good.
it's an
That's,
in
that's how
thing.
good at branding and marketing.
Yeah, the marketing is so
So good.
That's so
So good.
toxic.
I mean,
Ah!
whoa, relax,
Okay, bro.
relax,
Too far. It's too
relax,
far, man.
Relax.
We're cutting that one, right?
No, that's being lifted.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, which is, I don't need a Mac, but
Yeah.
I like the conveniences that a Mac has,
Yeah.
and for me, that justifies spending the money on it.
I feel that's a really good.
It's like, yeah, there's a lot of things you don't need, but people buy things because they want it,
Convenience.
and yeah, convenience, and they want it, and
You want the good.
yeah, you want the good, exactly. Well put.
No, what the bad bit.
Then what
Yeah.
about what do you think about the people that buy it just for it's the in thing and it's cool?
If it makes them happy, whatever.
Wait, Shaq,
Right.
are you trying to say something?
No, like I was talking back to like the commerce exam when I was back in that management course. Back when I was in that management course, like how I saw people. Oh, well, I think Carl mentioned it was like the Windows users as well were buying laptops that looked pretty much like Macs. Like they
I
were
feel-
trying to be
Mm.
Macs.
I feel like that's slightly because it's just like a stylish design, and it works really well.
I guess.
And people have money to spend for it. Oh, I feel the compatibility across Apple devices just works really well.
Yeah.
So since everyone has an iPhone too, their MacBook works up really well.
Yeah.
I feel like that generation though is going to change real soon because the iPhone market's actually quite down at the moment, and no one's actually
Really?
buying.
Nah,
I think I disagree with that one for sure.
No, it's actually like it's a thing. Like.
Oh no,
I think
I mean
actually-
like
Oh,
for here, yeah.
I think
yeah,
people are buying these iPhones, but that doesn't mean that they're switching to Android.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, like, so, like, let's say, because, like, I'm on the lookout for a new phone right now. I'm on an iPhone currently.
Flex.
Yeah,
Oh.
but no, it's not one of the latest ones. And so I want to go. I really like iOS, right? But
Mm-hmm.
around 2K for one with the amount of storage I want for a
How
phone.
much do you want?
I think it's like the 128 gigabyte is the
Ooh,
256 one is the one at 2K, and then the base version is like at over 1500. It's
Mhm.
like, do I really want to upgrade to that?
That's-
When the Android ones sound
like
so good right now,
half.
like, and they like the specs that sound amazing, and
Like, what is the argument for? I know we're going off topic, but what is the argument? I don't get as someone who uses an Android, has only ever had an Android aside from my iPad.
Yeah.
I still don't understand, like, the
Showing
big differences
up.
between them, and I don't get why you would go and spend that much money for an operating system that, to me, is pretty much the same thing. It just looks like aesthetically it's different.
yeah, exactly.
Like all smartphones pretty much do the same thing. And I've asked people, like, why do you use an iPhone? And it's either that's what they've had, or iMessage, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
Wait, really?
People have a thing for iMessage, and I don't get it.
What?
they had so all like the top tech YouTubers, they had like a survey thing around the room, and they were asking like, "What's your phone using?" And like everyone literally said an iPhone, and then they asked why, and they all just said because of iMessage.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I feel
Because
iMessage is really nice between iPhones, right? But
Hmm.
I reckon it's only worth it if you have a lot of people to text with an iMessage. Like,
yeah,
I don't have that many people to text using iMessage.
okay, I probably sound old here, but they go on to about like green bubble, blue bubble,
Yeah, like so if you're
and it's just like, really, you're gonna buy a phone so that you don't have a certain color, like on someone else's iPhone?
I buy it for the tweets, so when you tweet, it says tweeted from an iPhone.
You know, you can just put that
Bro,
yourself
stop
at the bottom.
flexing.
But yeah, no, I guess that's a bit. It's getting a bit off topic now. But I said we can round it off. We had a good discussion here. I'm going to ask you, Jesse. So, what do you think would be the perfect computer/laptop configuration for a student that isn't doing like high-end stuff like rendering and stuff, or gaming, or
So
maybe
no
a little bit
gaming.
of light gaming, maybe a little bit of light gaming, very light gaming.
I think it depends. Well, it's hard.
What
It
would you
depends on the game as well. You know, like
You just want to play some Fortnite with the boys.
Okay,
I don't know how well Fortnite runs on Mac.
I don't know either.
I mean, you can if it's said that it can run on it, it should be able to run on it, right?
Yeah.
I reckon because like there's not much like because they're all similar, right? All the models, like they would have designed it. Like if you have one of the newer Macs, it should run. If it's
It should
similar.
run.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, like if it's just okay, if I make it easier for you, then someone that isn't gaming at all, just as pure student, what would you recommend?
Okay, here's what I'd say. Like this is the route that I went down, and I would say that it worked out very well for me.
Right.
And that is, I got a MacBook when I started the year before I started uni,
Okay.
and that was perfectly fine. And I saved up money while I had it, and then I got a PC later, and I got a cheap PC, and it worked fine for a couple of years.
And then
So
you
I
had
think
to
that if you're a
upgrade it, right?
student, if you're a student, you know, obviously the study is more important. You focus on getting a laptop,
Yeah.
whatever that is. I prefer MacBooks, especially if I'm doing programming or, you know, software stuff.
Right.
I would say get a MacBook, or you can get Linux. Linux is fine too.
Yeah.
Or you can deal with Windows. I guess if you've never done Linux or Mac, then you don't really know, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't know how much nicer it is to use, or you might just be used to Windows anyway. So
I mean,
Yeah.
Windows users anyway, they always complain about the command, like trying to install stuff on
Yeah.
command line and whatnot.
yeah,
But I
So,
do
yeah.
know that they have released a new thing in the OS.
I know there's some tools, like we've used them at work, where it allows you to do certain things like Linux stuff in Windows. I forgot what it's called, but I think that whole thing comes down to preference. I personally like Macs,
Right.
but you know, Windows is if that's what you're into, that's fine too.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
And you don't have to get an expensive laptop. It just has to be like, I think the reliability of the laptop is more important than how well it performs.
Yeah.
And that's why I like MacBooks.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
And you don't need a good one. And then later on, if you want to get a PC for gaming, then you just get a PC for gaming.
Okay. Keenan, what do you think is the best laptop/computer configuration for a student who's
For a
not
student?
gaming?
Who's not gaming?
Very light gaming if you want to have any gaming at all.
Okay, for a student. I think I'd have to say what Jesse said.
Oh,
I'd
you're going
have
down
to
the
agree with
MacBook
that.
route.
Well, like, just a general statement, really.
So you're
Hmm.
so let's
Like-
just say that we're pretending
like if you got-
Wasim is
if you
starting
got money-
university again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you got money.
What are you
If you got
recommending
money.
him to buy?
What's he studying?
I don't think it really matters.
Like
So
the
long-
the thing is that
Like,
it's
that's the
extremely
problem.
preference based, right?
I feel
Yeah.
like though it
If you
doesn't
like
matter
Windows,
unless you're doing, or if you're talking about courses, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so. If you like Windows, I'd recommend a Surface. If you like, what's the Apple software? I don't even know. Macintosh,
Mac.
right? The Mac or whatever. Mac OS. Yeah, go with that.
Okay.
It's true what you prefer, what you like using.
Yeah, a lot of it's preference based.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I do think Windows is a little clunky still, and Mac does look nicer, but I just don't know how to use it. So
Like you can definitely
Yeah.
get by on Windows. Like
yeah.
you know,
I feel that most of the appeal, I mean, not the appeal, like how people like turn away from Windows as primarily Mac users is because it doesn't make sense. I don't know how to use it. And then people just don't bother with Windows computers.
Mm.
I don't know. That's one argument I heard. But yeah.
Yeah. I guess like, because before I used Mac, I was heavily Windows user. Then when I went to Mac, and now whenever I touch a Windows computer, it feels a bit weird to do like stuff like against like the terminal or stuff I do in command line.
Mm.
That stuff
just
is
'cause of-
really weird for me. But
Is it just because it looks like very different and interacts differently?
no, because it actually works differently. Like
Oh,
the
okay,
stuff
okay.
you can do, like you have to do stuff differently to do the same stuff you did on Mac.
Yeah, I see.
But yeah, but like as Jesse was saying, you can get by with the Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you'll be fine.
Just have to learn it.
Carl, you there, mate?
I'm not sure if he's here. I think he might have went off to cook his beef.
His belugi.
Belugi?
Yeah.
Bulgogi?
Bulgogi. Dude, that sounds way too close to Bukaki.
Oh,
Jeez.
alright,
We were going on such a clean podcast. Okay.
clean.
So I think that rounds off our discussion there that regarding the perfect setup or for laptop or computer for a student. I reckon we came to a consensus that like if you have the money, you can go for a MacBook. Otherwise, you can get by on a Windows laptop.
And it's better to focus on, I guess, the study side of it, and then gaming afterwards. Like you can always get a PC later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just don't buy a Lenovo.
All right.
I think. Yeah.
Buy it.
Well, there goes the Lenovo sponsorship right there.
Yeah.
You don't want to be sponsored by them anyway. Not worth.
Okay. All right then. So that'll round that off. That rounds us off for the podcast today. So as always, thank you for watching. I'll put the links down to if any of these guys wants any shout outs or anything. It'll be down in the description. Thank you guys for the coming along to the podcast today. And as always, Eyeball1, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.